What's up, Twin Cities? It's your girl, Glam Life Kim. And in the building with me right now is one of my favoriteest people in the whole Twin Cities. What's up, Anthony
Hey,
Taylor?
sis, how you doing? One of my favorite people with that beautiful shirt on
Oh,
today,
man.
too.
You see what it say,
I
too?
know that.
Know your worth, then add
Add the
tax.
tax. Look at that, y'all. Hey, Minneapolis, you should see her, man. She look good. She got the shirt
That's so
going.
sweet.
And if y'all would have, Minneapolis, listen, if y'all would have just seen us, man, about 5 minutes ago, we was in here jamming, y'all.
I'm
I
talking
don't
about.
know.
That's our song.
Yeah,
right
that's our
there.
song.
Ain't I
And
like
that's your guy,
us?
too. That is your guy.
Man. So look, we have a very important message and timely message that we're going to be
Yes.
talking about today. So I'm excited to dive in.
And the crazy thing about it, we're going to dive in like ASAP, right?
Okay.
So,
We ain't
like,
playing no games.
you ain't playing no games today, man.
They
We got
not
a
like
half hour. They
us.
not like us, man. We got to get it, y'all. And Minneapolis, listen, thank you as always for allowing me to come into your radio waves every second and fourth Wednesday of the month at 1 o'clock. My name is Anthony Taylor with the city of Minneapolis. My blessing to be here and be a part of this KMOJ family to bring you whatever I can to bring you type of information to activate your community, be able to find some resources and just get some just general knowledge, y'all. I think that's important. We always talk about how knowledge is power, right? And at the end of the
Yes.
day, however you get it, right? And this platform, I think, is one of the most important things to be able to use, right? Because a lot of us are on our phones, we driving in our car, we using our apps. But listen, this to me, as I say a lot, y'all, so y'all gonna be like, yeah, Ann always say this, but this is always one of my important topics, man. And we're talking
Man.
about a lot of different things around mental health, right? So mental health resources, how important that is for folks to understand how that affects our body, what we can do,
Yes.
Kim, because it's crazy,
And
right?
mental health is real.
Mental health is real, and I think we have to understand and look at those signs that make us, might not be acting the way we usually do,
Right.
right?
Yeah. And people are so quick to say, oh, well, that person is crazy or that kid is bad. But no, there's an
There's
underlying.
underlying reasons, right?
Mhm.
100%.
Absolutely.
And also, too, like the behavioral crisis response team that's been happening for a couple years in the
Mhm.
city of Minneapolis, which I'm a huge fan of, because we're
Okay.
going to be talking about how folks are on the street now helping in like real-time crisis. And I think maybe a year or two ago, we had folks on to talk about it. We got somebody else to come in and talk about it because honestly, y'all, you know, when we have our moments that we're at just at our worst, right? We
Right.
have things that happen. Life happens,
It
right?
happens. Life be lifing,
Life be lifing.
and something can trigger you, and before you know it, you know.
You in a situation,
Yeah.
right? You in a
Absolutely.
situation. And instead of sometimes always having the police arrive on scene, we've got people who are trained mental health professionals that can come and help you. Sometimes you don't always need the police
You
there.
don't, because they don't understand how to deal with those situations.
100%. And sometimes we've seen over the course of the last 20 years, or really, last hundreds of years, right, of how sometimes things turn bad when
Right. Real
police
quick.
are there, right? So
Mhm.
we got a dual topic. It all kind of encompasses everything. I've got Marisa Stevenson on the line, program manager for the BCR, correct? And Dr. Kara Hirdman. I got a real life doctor here on the show
Yeah.
today.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
So,
bro, I'm gonna correct that. Is it Maria or Marissa?
Marisa,
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
thank you, sis. How both of y'all doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having us.
Oh, we appreciate
Very well,
having
thank
you
you.
here.
Thank you. And Marisa, I'm gonna start out with you. I'm so excited about this show, man. This is really with the behavioral crisis response program. Let's kind of introduce yourself to the city and your work with Canopy Roots. I know it's a really good Black-owned mental health agency. So get to it. Like, thank you for coming.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. So I'm a LPCC licensed professional clinical counselor. I'm currently serving as the program manager for the Minneapolis Behavioral Crisis Response, or the BCR. It's operated by Canopy Roots. I've been with the program since the inception. I started as the program supervisor. And really, for our purpose here with the BCR is to provide person-centered, culturally responsive crisis services 24/7, 365 to all community members of all ages, really thinking about decriminalizing mental illness, avoiding involuntary hospitalization, and then providing an alternative response to law enforcement for 911 calls.
And go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Nope, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, I would say, how we come into a scene, right? We're going to be trauma informed, providing emotional support to the recipients that we're working with, crisis de-escalation, thinking about how we can, really focus our interventions and addressing practical needs. So that could be psychoeducation for the recipient and their support system. We do risk assessments for suicidal ideation and homicidal ideation. We do safety planning and then service connection to other resources in the community.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
excuse me, Marisa, because I'm so excited, right? I forget about this delay, right, that we have. It's harder sometimes because I want to just jump in like double dutch, like just to be like, get this answer, get this question in. So like just real,
For sure.
So talk about like the team, right? Like give us kind of a breakdown of who they are, what they're trained in. I think it's something important that folks want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. So per Minnesota state statute, we have mental health practitioners and professionals. So the difference there, the professional is going to be somebody who holds a license like myself, and then the practitioner is going to be somebody who has, typically it's a bachelor's degree in psychology or social work, and then they also have experience within the mental health field. So those are the folks who are on our team.
Yeah, and one thing I like about what you guys do, I mean, you bring a sense of empathy, right, and care to folks who are forced into hospitalization or arrest. One of the things I think is important that I'd love for you to talk about too is the fact that like this is like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, yep.
That's wonderful.
And one of the things I think is also important too is that I'd love for you to dig deeper on it, just the approach and like, why is that important? I can tell you why it's important to me, right? Because I would love to see if I'm having a situation or a crisis in my family, my neighborhood. And I was talking about that earlier today. Like sometimes these are some of the worst things that can happen in our lives at that moment, right? And for me to be able to see somebody maybe that looks like me and is not a police officer, that's important to me.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, on top of it, right, as you were saying, we do, try to center hiring a diverse workforce of mental health practitioners and professionals, really trying to de-center the Eurocentric model that is so heavily within our American system or the system in the United States. So that's really important to us. Right now I think we have 4 or 5 different languages that are spoken on our team. And if, the recipient speaks the language that, somebody doesn't speak, we have access to an interpreting language line that we can call, and there's a real live person on the other end who interprets for us. So yeah, it's, we've responded to over 20,000 calls via 911 since our inception, which was in December of 2021. And we've had 0 injuries to service recipients, which we're really proud of.
That's awesome. Now, do you guys wear, like, how do they typically, come? Are they in uniform? Will they have a badge or, some type of lanyard or something? Like, how, do they come unidentified?
Right.
So, because, sometimes somebody, especially if they're dealing with a mental health issue and they're aware of things that have happened with police, they may not necessarily feel that they can trust them. They can become hostile. So do you guys show up in a manner that won't make you feel threatened?
Right. Yeah, I love that question. So the vans that we drive are big white Sprinter vans. There's no sirens, there's no lights, and that's by design to try to sort of keep the situation, as sort of calm as possible. We wear, our shirts are like a navy blue, and then usually responders are wearing, whatever type of pants they have, usually jeans or something like that. We do have radios. We're unarmed, but we are able to call for backup with EMS, fire, and police if we need them on the scene. I will say 80% of the calls from start to finish are BCR sole response. So, for example, if somebody is a danger to themselves or others, and needs to be taken to the hospital, we are voluntary until somebody sort of isn't making, safe choices for themselves.
Okay.
Or other people. And so then we would have EMS come, and then usually a squad comes then, and then they would go to the hospital with EMS if they needed to. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great question because, again, Kim, you said it beautifully. Like sometimes your state of mind is not in that situation where you might recognize somebody that's here to help you, right? And I think that's super important. And again, Minneapolis, we're talking with Marisa Stevenson, Program Manager, Minneapolis BCR. And you touched on it too, Marisa, about your relationship working with first responders and police. Can you touch on that just a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, since the inception of the program, like I said, in December of 2021, our relationship has really grown with all of the first responder entities, MPD, EMS, and fire. Like anything, when there's something new, I think that there can be naturally sort of, hesitation or, some type of, animosity, like, who are you? What are you doing? But I will say now, as we're in August 2024, the relationships have really grown, and they continue to grow. And I think that is a really important aspect of the work as well, to, stay professional and collaborative as much as possible, have the ability to say, hey, not sure about this. Can you help me understand why you maybe chose that? So let me break it down. So when we go to a call initially, right, it's our call, right? BCR is the lead responder. If we call for backup, MPD, for example, becomes the lead responder. So we wouldn't call MPD unless we really needed them. And then in that case, it becomes their scene. Whether or not we, agree or disagree with their interventions, they get to come and do their job, right? So I think, as much as we can keep, communication open and transparent, I really value that and relationship building.
Yeah, I think that's important. And I'm glad you talked about that because ultimately at the end of the day, it's a partnership where you can try to cultivate that relationship. And that takes time too, right? And I'm sure you guys have been able to cultivate that and navigate that because ultimately, like, there's people on different sides of the fence. I won't get into it about the police or not the police. I'll give my opinion sometime else in another space. But at the end of the day, I think it's all about helping the community, right? Which is the most important thing. So I'm super glad you touched on that. And then I'm going to get you out of here with this last question, knowing about just the summer months are different mental health observances. So we talk about May is National Mental Health Awareness, including maternal mental health awareness. June is National Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder Awareness, which I would love Dr. DeGru to come up here and break some stuff down. She's actually coming up here. If anybody knows about Dr. Joy DeGru, she's coming soon, which is my girl. Like, yeah, if I got a scholar crush. I was
about to say, can we get her on the show?
Yeah, there's some ends to get her.
She was just here, wasn't she? Or is she coming again?
I'm not sure she either came or went, but she actually was here. So, yep, and I missed out on that. But she is such a, another topic. We got some show topics.
Yeah, she has some really powerful work.
Oh, my
absolutely.
God. Oh, my God.
Wow.
And July is BIPOC Health Month. And on August 31st, it's an International Overdose Awareness Day. And Marisa, I say that to say this, like, why is it important for Black folks and community to talk about mental health, either with yourself or a therapist or your family? Like, why is it important for us as a people to be able to talk about this?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think, addressing really the unique challenges of our community, thinking about systemic racism, discrimination, historical trauma, those impact mental health, right, on an everyday basis. And I think really breaking the stigma of mental health, historically, mental health has been a taboo subject in many communities,
100%.
including the Black community, right? So, being as open as possible, discussing mental health, breaking down the stigma that prevents folks from seeking the, help that they need, and really just normalizing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And saying it's okay, and our sister company, Canopy Mental Health and Consulting, we really strive, to be a premier provider for outpatient online mental health services for historically underserved and marginalized populations. And we do have openings right now in psychiatry and med management, as well as psychotherapy. Folks can check out the website at canopymhc.com. And then if people have questions about Canopy Roots and the BCR, you can go to canopyrootsmn.com and reach out that way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super grateful that you came on the show. I wish we had more time. I would love to bring you back and talk about a lot more things. Just real quick before you get out of here, just how can people get in touch with Canopy Roots or the BCR again?
Yeah, absolutely. So the only way to get in touch with the BCR proper is when you're having a mental health emergency, calling 911 if you live in Minneapolis. You can ask for the BCR. The only thing that we ask is that there's no weapon being yielded on the scene because we are unarmed. And then that, it's not a known medical emergency. So 911, call 911 is how you get a hold of the BCR for a mental health emergency. And then if you have any other questions, you can check out our website at www.canopyrootsmn.com.
Thank you, Marisa.
Yeah, that's good information.
Yeah, it is.
Mental health, I was just talking about it with a friend yesterday. It's kind of a fairly recent term, right? Like people, it's always been there, but I think, especially in our community, they never resonated it as mental health. Like I said, they always either say, oh, that person's just crazy. That's just them. This is,
right.
Or that kid is bad. And, and there, like you said, there's always an underlying reason. And so I think it's discussing it, talking about the things that aren't normal and not normalizing it, and making sure that you understand if something isn't normal. Talk to a friend, help a friend. If you see something, speak to them about it. And then we have to, trust our people, our circle, to know that they would not put us in a situation or even suggest it if it wasn't
100%.
Facts.
100%. And just, real quick, over the last maybe 20 years or so, the stigma has kind of decreased, but there's a whole lot of historical trauma that we had to get through, right?
Yeah.
To get to this point. There's a lot more work to go. So, Marisa, thank you. I always appreciate you giving us some time. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate y'all too. Take care.
Thank you. Marisa Stevenson, Program Manager, Minneapolis BCR. Check out the website and the information, y'all, that she had provided. I think that's a really, really great resource. It's been around for a couple of years. So please, if you're able to, get in touch with that. But I want to bring on a doctor, right? Like Dr. Kara Hirdman. Y'all, in Minneapolis, she had told me I can call her K Money. I'll call her that once, right? But I'm gonna respect her initials because she put hard work in there. But Dr. Kara is a senior public health specialist. Dr. Kara, welcome to Minneapolis 360. How you doing, sis?
Welcome.
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I grew up listening to KMOJ.
Wow.
So I'm happy to be here.
We are happy to have
Absolutely.
you.
Tell us your story. Tell us a little bit about you and your role with the health department.
Yeah. So I'm hired to work internally with the health department to help them with the mental health and the trauma documents and the different things we're trying to do to become a trauma-informed department, but also to go outside of our department and to help community understand different issues pertaining to mental health and trauma and education. And it's well worth it, especially in the city of Minneapolis, because as you know, social media has had a huge impact on youth and adults, as well as the COVID, civil unrest. Our suicide rates 2022 have increased. It's been the highest record in the United States.
Wow.
With suicide. 5% of adults, 13% of youth report experiencing serious suicide thoughts. So we need to really discuss these topics, help each other out, because a big thing is I don't want people to suffer alone, nor does our department in our city. We don't want you sitting there and struggling by yourself. We want you to find help. We do a lot of things in our department to help children, families, and community members, particularly with mental health and trauma. And, of course, pushing our website also is helpful when doing so.
Yeah, I think that's vitally important. And Marisa had talked about it before, and we touched on it too. And as a doctor who's had work in this field, like just break down, I guess, like why does that stigma exist when it comes to talking about mental health?
Well, as you guys have said already, nobody wants to be thought of as crazy or, thinking that there's something really wrong with them. But we have to understand that mental health is a wide variety of issues.
Yes.
Trauma happens to everybody across.
All of us.
There's no boundaries with trauma, right? And we understand that even though there's resources, there's a stigma even asking for help.
Right.
And so we really want people to use, there's a 988 number. It's a new number that has been created the last couple of years, specifically pertaining to mental health resources. And people can call it at any time. Instead of calling 911, you can call for yourself. You can call for a friend. You can call for your child. You can call for your parent, right? Anybody, somebody that's in your church that may be, talking about, potential mental health issues, including suicide. We want people to come and ask for help and use the resources available. That's what, and 988 is a fantastic new resource that is really, really helpful.
Yeah, and it's all free, right? Again, 988 is a free line, open to anyone regardless of their citizenship. What about like interpretation or anything else? Can I call that and get somebody who speaks my language?
Well, right now 988 is available in English and Spanish, but they're working on getting more and more languages accessible on 988. I would highly recommend in Minneapolis you can get services with NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness. They have huge amounts of services, free classes. You can call them and ask for advice, and they have multiple languages, right? That they can kind of direct you in the right way, especially to get an interpreter on the phone with you. So I highly recommend, going to our website. Even if people just Google City of Minneapolis mental health, it'll be your first link. All you got to do, we got local and state resources on there. We got national resource numbers and information. We got cultural specific information. We have domestic violence information up on there. We have school-based clinics information because City of Minneapolis provides school-based clinics to the high school kids, which is very beneficial for mental health. And we know parents struggle too. NAMI is currently offering a free class and educational tools for parents who have kids that don't want to return to school, right?
I love NAMI.
We want to, they're phenomenal. And reducing that stigma is important. And I love the fact that you have this on KMOJ. And there's so many different things that people can find within resources, but you guys offer not just podcasts and information coming out. You offer that music part, and I understand, music can be a huge resource as well to reduce that. I grew up listening to Take Six, if you know that group.
Come on now, you dealing with two OGs, Kara. Come on.
Music head.
So, they helped me through a lot of mental health stuff. So, I think that's a powerful thing that you're doing for your community. Providing those resources, providing music, providing health and understanding and education, because that's how you change. You can't change what you don't know.
Right.
So you got to learn and understand that it's okay to feel bad, and it's okay to know that you're not in the right place at the right moment sometimes. But there are people you can call. There are resources out there available. And not, especially when you're a family member, watching another member go through some stuff. My kid goes to high school for recording arts because, he was struggling in the regular public school. So now he's over there making music, and his mental health is so much better now. And so understanding all the different things that we can do for our kids and our youth, as well as our friends and family.
Right.
Use that 988 number. Use our website. We got a lot of resources, and we're here to help. And that's the big thing. We are here to help everyone.
I love that, especially, and I'm glad that you really touched on the youth. So for those of you who are tuned in right now, I just can't stress enough. Like, I think it's so much more easier to allow this to start and put this into the heads of our youth now. It's, some of the older people are stuck in their ways. They have their mind made up. They may not, be okay with seeing a therapist or getting some, mental health resources. But our youth right now, and a lot of them they're suffering with identity crisis, with body positivity, with, all type of different things that cause them to, not understand and be able to control their feelings. So I think that it's important to share this information, especially with our young people, because right now we can help them. Now is the time.
Absolutely. And like, I just think about the pressures that we had as kids are not the same.
It's not.
And it's actually super elevated now because of just how we evolve as a society, right? Whether it's technology or anything else. So, yeah, absolutely. Dr. Kara, I'm gonna get you out of here with this, and I'm super excited that you're actually on this show. I've been doing this show for, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years now. You've probably moved into my top 5 guests of all time.
We gotta bring her back again.
We gotta bring you back.
Anytime for KMOJ and you.
Yes. So in about a minute or less, just again, just briefly talk about how folks can get in touch at 988, just anything else, any website that you want to make sure folks know.
Yeah, make sure you know about NAMI, NAMI. It's a wonderful organization, a lot of free stuff on there for the community. We do a lot with partnerships and the YMCA, so sometimes they have different resources. But again, Google the city of Minneapolis mental health, and the first page that'll come up, you click on that. We got your local, national, state resources for individuals, including youth, resources specific for youth. And so we would really love to help individuals out, because we don't want anybody to be suffering out there, especially struggling alone. We don't want you to do that. We want you to find that help. We want you to stick around and be around.
Yes, thank you for what you do.
Yeah, thank you. Always a pleasure. Good to finally meet you, and then we'll talk soon. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
K-Money. I'll talk to you later.
K-Money.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, that was awesome.
That was a good show, Kim. Like, I think it's important. And we can spend another 3 hours talking about mental health and how much it affects us in our community, individually, personally, with family members. It's just
tomorrow it could be me or you.
It could be any time, any day. And a lot of us, man, the stresses of life, man, it just happens. And I think we have to be able to recognize that and be okay with the fact that we're asking for help. And like she said, you're not alone, right?
You are not
There's people
alone
out there that can help you. So I always got your back, right?
Hey, and I always got yours. I don't care what it is, what time of day.
We're going to make it happen for each other, right?
Make that phone call.
I heard that. Good to see you, sis.
Good to see you as well. Thank you again, bro.